Hello, my name is Thi Nhu. In this video, I will explore the perspective of three English teachers on how they approach the language teaching theories in the classrooms. Each interviewee will bring a unique background working with different groups of learners, from teenagers to adults. Through their sharings, we can see how their practices connect to a well-known second language acquisition theories, including input hypothesis, output hypothesis, interaction hypothesis, sociocultural hypothesis, noticing hypothesis, and frequency hypothesis. Let's listen to their ideas and see how each teacher method reflect both theory and practice in a meaningful way. Okay. Everyone, thank you for joining my interview today. I would like to ask all of you some questions about the activities you use in your class, your English class. Now let's start with Miss Chuk. Good evening, Miss Chuk. Could you please briefly introduce about yourself, your name, your experience, your teaching experience, and your learners age range?
Okay. Good evening, Ý. Thank you for having me. My name is Trúc, and I have been working as a teacher for the past 5 years. I teach communicative English, mostly to adult learners.
Yes, you are a communicative English teacher. So I would like to ask you about the speaking skill. What kinds of activities do you use the most in your class?
In my speaking classes, I usually focus on designing some activities that I think it makes the lessons interactive, practical, and relevant to my learners. So first, I usually start with warm-up tasks like short discussions to get everyone talking about the topic of the day. And then I move on to role plays. For example, job interviews, workplace conversation, or travel situation that reflect real life communication. And I also include group discussions on everyday or current issues to develop fluency and critical thinking of the learners. And finally, I often ask them to make short presentations where learners share their personal or professional experiences, which will help build both confidence and communication skills.
Thank you for your answer. You use various activities in your class. So which activities do you think your student enjoy the most or they like the most?
I personally think that my adult learners often enjoy role plays and discussions because they can practice real life situations, share their opinions, and immediately see how English connects their daily to their professional lives.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, let's move on to Miss Đức.
Hello, Miss Ý.
Đức. Can you introduce briefly about yourself, your name, your teaching experience, and your learner's age?
Yeah, hello, Miss Ý. My name is Diệp Đức, and currently I work as a secondary teacher. So my main students are the teenagers who are from 13 to 16 years old. Yeah, and I think they are so energetic and they are eager to learn new things. Yeah, and some of them already have the basic knowledge about English. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask you one question about the vocabulary skill. So what kinds of activities do you use to teach your learners about vocabulary?
All right, so when teaching vocabulary to teenagers, I try to make the process interactive and meaningful rather than just memorizing words. Yeah, so I often start with a picture, a short video, or just a quick questions to introduce the new words in natural settings. Yeah, then I guide them through discovery activities such as matching words with definitions, categorize vocabulary, or guessing meaning from the context. And moreover, to reinforce learning, I use games and digital tools like Quizlet, Wordware, or Blockit, which appeal to teenagers' love of competitions in technology. Finally, I encourage them to use the new works actively through role plays, short dialogues, or mini presentations.
Thank you for your question. You combine the technology into your teaching vocabulary. I think it's really effective for your teaching. So, what activities do you think your learners enjoy the most?
I could say my students usually enjoy vocabulary games with technology like Quizlet or Blockit because they are competitive, fun, and let them practice works in an exciting way.
Thank you very much. I share the same idea with you because they are really competitive. They like to win and they want to be the winner, right? So thank you very much, Miss Diễm Đức. And last but not least, I would like to interview Miss Sương a little bit. Good evening, and can you introduce briefly about yourself, your name, your teaching experience, and your learner's age? Yeah.
Good evening, Miss Thi. So I have 4 years of experience teaching with adults, teaching adults learner, especially those preparing for the TOEIC exam, and many of them are university students aiming to graduate for promotion or success.
Thank you very much. As I know, TOEIC exam has two main skills, reading and listening, right? So I would like to ask you about the reading skill. What kinds of activities do you use the most in your class for teaching reading?
When I teach reading for adults, I would like to keep it interactive so learners stay engaged and don't just read silently. I would often start the lesson by using prediction games such as looking at the title or pictures and guessing, and they can guess the text that the main context of the text, or a quick discussion quiz to activate background knowledge. Next, I will give them the information gap task where they must ask questions to fill in missing details. And finally, I encourage group discussion or role play based on the text that connect reading and real life situation. And I think these activities turn reading into a dynamic and flexible process where learners can actively collaborate, share ideas, and use the language instead of just working individually.
Thank you very much, Miss Lu. And one of these activities you use for your reading class. So which one do you think your learners enjoy the most?
From my observations, students really enjoy guessing from pictures before reading, as it sparks curiosity, and it also activates background knowledge, and it also makes them make the lesson more engaging.
Thank you so much for joining my interview, all of you. Have a good night. Just kidding. And now let's move on to Miss Sương. We only have 8 minutes left. Let's go. All right, let's start with our first teacher, Miss Trúc. She emphasizes output hypothesis through role plays, discussions, and representations, where learners can actively produce the language after the lesson. They also align with interaction hypothesis and sociocultural hypothesis, which appears in the lessons to the workplace to professional context. Warm-up activities, discussions, and representations and real-life examples provide comprehensible input, supporting questions, input hypothesis. Finally, when learners reflect on their presented errors during presentations, they engage the noticing hypothesis. Let's move on to our next teacher, Miss Duc. She is teaching teenagers vocabulary. She always provides rich input through contextualized materials such as picture, short video, or quick question to introduce a new word in a natural setting. Discovery tasks like matching and categorizing push learners to notice language patterns. Vocabulary games and digital tools such as Quizlets and word wound involve repetition, which fix the frequency hypothesis, right? Encouraging active use in role plays, short dialogues, and mini presentation in class highlights the output hypothesis. The collaborating and playful tasks also support interaction and sociocultural hypothesis as learning occurs in a meaningful socially settings. Finally, Ms. Xun gives us some activities that she uses in her reading class, such as prediction games, pre-reading tasks, that all reflect the input hypothesis, providing comprehensible input like the pictures for guessing the title or the text inside a reading text. The interaction hypothesis is evident in information gap tasks, requiring learners to ask about and answer a question collaboratively. Group discussions and role plays demonstrate the socio-cultural hypothesis, where knowledge is co-constructed language. In this discussion, connecting to output hypothesis. Additionally, activities that make learners in this discussion understand the support of noticing hypothesis, while repeated engagement with tests and strengthen the preconception. As you can see, each teacher, while working with different age groups and skills, demonstrates that theory and practice are not separate, but closely connected. Their approaches remind us that successful language learning requires a balance, exposure to input, opportunities for output, active interaction, and constant awareness of language use. Thank you for joining us in this exploration. We hope this perspective inspire further reflection on how we as teachers can design learning experience that truly support our student growth.